Gorilla of my dreams.
Gorilla of my dreams.
Bum, 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 bum.
Researchers say she's half human, half ape. She's hairy and keeps grunting.
My luck, I'll get the half that eats.
It's like we're standing behind a line and racing to the mic to see who's
Racing to the mic.
How old is she?
She's 9 years old and covered with hair.
But when she loves me, I holler, ooh, hot dog.
Right.
If you dig Anita O'Day, it's a funny line.
Can you
If
imagine
not,
her
I'll call
coming
you.
to your door as a brownie?
We're selling
some cookies.
We're selling Girl Scout fur balls.
Gorilla Scout fur balls. Gorilla Scout cookies.
Gorilla Scout
But someday she'll make somebody a wonderful blind date.
Yes.
She'll be on the dating game.
But when he sobers up.
I'll take the gorilla. I like the way she answered.
She's covered with hair from head to toe.
Well, why did they get some
I hope so.
depilatory cream?
Can you imagine the money she'd spend on...
Depilatory?
Yes.
You know why the word is depilatory? DE usually means to remove something, the absence of something, a negative. The Latin word pila, P-I-L-A. So if you peel a banana, then you see what I'm talking about.
And she does, it says.
And if you've ever been a Tory, you've never voted.
Can you imagine the bill for the curlers for her?
No.
Yeah. And the Larrys.
How about the blow dryer?
And the Larrys and the Moes.
How long are you going to take on your hair? We're going on a picnic.
As soon as I get finished with the shins, I'll be right with you.
Scientists say she grunts and walks like an ape.
So does Steve's sister, but I want to tell you.
How did you appropriate my sister?
Because you use it all the time.
I'm hip. And my sister's hips are something too.
She apparently is also able to communicate easily with gorillas.
No.
Go ahead.
No. That's understandable.
She climbs trees with the skill of a monkey and loves bananas, it says.
Not surprising, given the background.
What a wedding.
I talk to the trees. I'm only responsible for melodies. Lyrics are another matter.
Girl's mother 10 years ago was lost in the jungle during an excursion in Africa.
What about her father?
Well,
What does he work for E.F. Hutton or something? Is he perfect?
They believe her father was a gorilla.
That is impossible.
I'm gonna
That's
tell you
biologically
something.
impossible.
I'm going to tell you something. Years and years ago, I was in Hawaii, and I went to a sideshow, and it says, come see Gorilla Woman and Alligator Man. And there were pictures of them. So naturally, I had nothing else to do, so I went in there and expecting to see a fake, as you always do. And this
When lo and behold,
a woman came out resembling a gorilla.
Scary.
And she took the microphone and she said, gather round. I am half gorilla. As you can see, my entire body is covered with hair.
Wow.
The man outside is Alligator Man. He will be in a minute. They are hosing him down because his skin is parched today. Alligator Man and I have been married very happily for 20 years. And then said, we have 2 perfectly normal children. Now, I picture...
Never write, never call.
Back to school night?
Yes.
When you bring the friends home to meet the parents?
Yes.
Mom, Alligator Dad, would you come down, please?
Alligator Dad, won't you come on tonight? Come on tonight.
It's like, Mom, can we go swimming, or is Dad in the pool?
We have to pause for just a moment, but there's more sleazy news coming up, and we'll continue in a moment.
And Rosie's here with a delivery.
Rosie is adorable. There she is, ladies and
You're
gentlemen.
adorable, Rosie. Thank you. Bob Einstein wanted me to tell you.
We'll be back in a moment with more of The Steve Allen Show on the NBC Radio Network.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Love the flower arrangements.
Yo, well.
Yeah, this is great. Actually, I'm going to have to go in about 5 minutes.
Here you are, Rosie. Thank you.
Break.
Here's your pen.
Huh? I teach you too.
You're teaching today?
Yeah.
Charts and data. Fax machines are great, you know. They save a
They're
lot of
changing
time.
a lot of fax number.
Yeah.
I had an incredible thing today. I'm getting.
We blew that one. It would have gotten 20 minutes.
That
was
would
a
have been
good
worth
one.
the rest of the show.
Save it.
I
Among
got
highlights,
a call today because I'm getting different insurance, and they started asking me questions, and for life insurance.
It's bodily fun. They're going through a physical right now, I think.
Okay, one on each column for now. Go ahead.
Why are we missing this? So you start off saying, have you ever been sick? No. Do you do drugs? No. Do you smoke? No. Do you drink? No. Do you do this? Do you the thing? Then ask me, what is your personal wealth? How much do you make a year? Like questions like at gunpoint. I said, I don't see any relevance to this. Ask someone else.
Weird.
It was weird.
For automobile insurance? What kind of insurance?
No, life insurance.
Well, if you insist on living, I guess you'll have to put up with it.
I guess so.
Enjoying the show on the NBC Radio Network, and we invite you to tune in at this time every day.
You're listening to The Steve Allen Show. Herb Sargent is with us. Bob Einstein, star of the Super Dave Osborne Show on Showtime. Dan Brenner. This is Mark Simone, and here is Steve Allen.
Good afternoon once again. This is Sir Cedric Airwick speaking to you from the powder room of Buckingham Palace. If you've ever had
the palace, Buckingham.
if you've ever bucked a ham in the palace.
Whoa. Hey, how are
Who's
you?
here?
Jim Bacon is here.
Jim Bacon is here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great.
The eminent journalist.
Yes.
And we're expecting Jim and Henny Backus later.
Great.
They will be joining us a bit later.
Well, we also have more of the sleazy news.
Good. Lay it on us.
From the sleaziest newspapers across America, another great headline from the Weekly World News. Now see if you believe this one.
All right.
Airport controllers give UFO permission to land.
It's
Where
a
is this?
guy down on the tarmac with 11 arms is waving it in.
Astonished witnesses watched in amazement as a UFO buzzed 5 commercial airliners, swooped down for a landing, and then took off at high speed for outer space.
And all the cretins on the ground were saying, "Where's my bags?"
What happened to have triple miles during March?
It says
What?
This took place at Jose Maria Airport.
Oh, if you ever landed at Jose Maria Airport,
Yes.
It's a small airport.
It-
You want to
with a-
get in and out of there as quickly
It's
as you
a
can.
taco stand and a
Yes,
gas
it
pump,
is,
and that's
yeah.
about all there is
Don't
to it.
drink the gasoline.
And the tarmac is a guy named Mac with a bucket of tar. It's a very
But
low
I
budget
want to tell
operation. I wish you would tell me.
I will.
This is in Colombia, this airport.
Ah, yes. Well, it's not NBC, I can tell you that.
No.
They would never put up with that kind of nonsense.
Air controller Angel Marie Rijos.
Who is also very qualified.
He's a real angel.
Yes, he is.
He won his wings the hard way, but go ahead.
Says it was definitely a UFO.
I think it's it.
No, I think he thought it was Babe Ruth's ghost. And
He said around
To what do we attribute the persistent belief in what I may characterize as an evident absurdity?
Get to it, please, because I'm going to faint. I'm going to pass away if you don't get
to what
the
do we
point.
attribute
The fact that people do not just say, there could be UFOs. I mean, that's a reasonable thing, even if there are none. At least you're still a reasonable person when you say, I don't know, there's so many people
I'll tell
saying
you
it.
something interesting, and then I'll get off interesting, because interesting is boring.
Not necessarily, not the way I
Well-
do it, but go ahead, Bob.
Well, I'll be the judge of that. But, no, they say that all the people who have been on our space flights,
Mm-hmm.
who have come back, have to go through therapy because of what they've seen.
Sure. They've seen a man eating,
No.
eating a ham
I'm
sandwich out of a
very
toothpaste
serious. No, I'm not talking about that.
tube. Well, I am.
You just made a statement and then put the whole thing down. You just said, why don't reasonable people Why do they always, and then I say something and you go, rat-a-tat.
Oh, you said something about absurdity.
Ta-ta-toot-toot-toot. All right, go on. We're running out of time.
Well, I think what
Not
they
to
have,
mention interest.
unless they give us specific descriptions as to what marvelous things
They're not
they've
allowed to say. I just heard this from someone who knows someone who knows someone who was involved.
then we cannot give it credence or Clearwater Revival or anything of that sort.
Boy, you went after that one.
Yeah. Otherwise, you would have snapped
I
it
was
up.
right onto it.
Well, this-
I'm onto the coattails.
This headline from The Sun.
Yes.
Ventriloquist escapes death as dummy shouts warning.
No, I'm going to give you a true story.
All right.
Who is the man that could help me? The one who invented the artificial heart?
Paul
Paul
Winchell.
All right, thank you. He is performing in San Diego at a nightclub with sailors.
He actually
This is to
invented
say,
a little artificial heart for his dummy, and then
that's
and
right,
people
and
misunderstood.
that's what he
but
brought out and used to talk with
he used
the
to stick
aorta.
his hand in the back of it and
And
make
go,
it pump.
"Hello!"
Go ahead.
He is. The dummy is on his knee. What was the dummy's name? Help me, Paul Winchell.
Jerry
And
Mahoney.
Mm-hmm.
Knucklehead
Okay,
Smith.
and the sailor starts heckling the act. And so Paul is saying it furthermore. The guy going, "Hey, blow it on your bad thing," and Jerry is saying, "Shut up! Why don't you go back to your ship? Your mother said your and Paul is saying, "Jerry, stop that! Stop it! He's telling me. Look at." The guy gets up, goes to the stage, and knocks Jerry's head off. Knocked a wooden head right off, which is a show that the man is a brilliant ventriloquist.
Yes, and a brilliant sailor too. Come to think of it,
Yeah, good combination.
that is wild.
Well, this ventriloquist was Jean-Luc Penoir.
Oh, that famous.
and if you've ever had your
Penoir
locked, you know how
you're
dangerous
out of
that could be.
commission for a while.
Was leaving the Paris nightclub where he performs when a car was zooming along at 50 miles per hour. When his dummy, Pierre, shouted to get out of the way.
Did he still have his dummy on his hand?
No, he was carrying it, and he says the dummy screamed, "Master, look out!"
So he's telling himself to get out of the way?
Wow.
Boy, that's really carrying the act to a little too far.
And after the smoke cleared from the accident, you could hear a tape in the car say, "Your driver door is open. Your driver door is open."
He says, "I didn't even see the car until my dummy Pierre yelled at me to get out of the way."
The ventriloquist survived, but the dummy died instantly.
He actually said, "I would have been killed and Pierre would have been toothpicks."
Did you get splinters from the bottom of the barrel in this one?
Fumbling
When you
around.
reached down to the bottom of the barrel of the Sleazy News, did you get wet down there or anything?
Well, on the same page, here's another great story. Scientists find way to run automobiles on sheep gas.
No, that's very inexpensive.
Did you
That's
say
right.
cheap gas or
No,
sheep gas?
sheep gas. But what's expensive is what you have to buy to feed the sheep.
That's trying to get,
Oh, Bob, what did I say? I'm trying to make a story out of
You're
this.
spewing filth
I'm
again.
not spewing anything. I'm trying to make common sense out of this.
No,
You accept the fact that a car can ride on sheep gas, but I can't talk about feeding the sheep.
He's discussing a scientific breakthrough.
Can you imagine pulling into a sheep gas station?
Fill her up.
Regular or unleaded? There'd be a lot of people at the full serve line, I'll tell you that much.
And check the lanolin while you're at it.
Don't thank the self-service is closed.
world's funniest nozzle.
All you do is lift the sheep up and put it on the side of the car.
It says a sheep could produce enough gas every day to power.
So can Steve.
Just a moment.
There's RoboCop with the hiccups.
to power a vehicle for almost 50 miles.
What if you run out? You got to wait for the AAA? I'm having trouble and bring 3 sheep. 2 for the car.
And a ram to jumpstart them all.
Right. I'll drive them home. Don't worry.
The developer of this, David Lowe, says there are 70 million sheep in this country.
Yes.
And
He's counted them all.
There's one born every minute.
Like, almost everybody fell asleep trying.
699,121. I'm asleep.
he admits it's not the most pleasant picture. But
No, it isn't.
Unless you have a nice, tasteful frame around it, then it
correct.
looks good.
They could replace jet engines on airplanes.
No,
Gentlemen,
yes.
may we
What?
jump to more? I know that this is sleazy. That's a
That's
given.
right.
But don't give it to me here on my own program. Could
All
we
right.
try some other subject matter?
All right. car runs on Merv.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I tried to change the subject.
Well,
What do you have there, Mark? I trust your judgment.
Do you know
if I may
Merv Griffin, who just bought the Beverly Hilton
Yes.
for $200 million,
Yes.
now is trying to buy
Resorts.
a resort for $260
Resorts
million.
International for
Resorts
225.
International. Yes.
And he's bidding
He's
against.
made a lot of money from
He
Wheel
wants
of
to go to
Fortune.
Vegas and become corrupt.
He's trying to outbid Donald Trump for it.
Mm-hmm.
With that news update, let's continue now. The news
More power
continues.
to him.
We better get back
We're
to
in
the
real
sheep.
trouble when all Steve does is go, mm-hmm.
When he doesn't say that's fascinating, you know
We're in real
it hasn't.
trouble.
It hasn't
This
yet.
show is
Well, we have to-
No,
screeching.
Merv has a good head on his shoulder, a good business head.
We have
He
to stop
must.
for just a moment. We'll be back in a moment with more of the Steve Allen Show on the NBC Radio Network.
I can't believe he's got that much money.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bought out for
Quiz
$200
shows.
million.
Quiz shows, basically.
Two quiz shows. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeopardy.
That's about as profitable as any TV ventures
Wheel
ever
of
get because it
Fortune.
costs $9 to do
Wheel of
them.
Fortune is the most money any show's ever
Yeah.
made in the history of
But
television.
whatever is the 49th one in terms of earnings, it's doing great too. You know.
But
there's-
$400 million
Yeah.
is a lot of money.
Oh yes, yes. Not to me, of course, but many people. No, seriously, it's incredible.
You know what else he did, which was fascinating? There was a big article in the Times about his wealth.
Yeah.
Remember when we had the mini market crash? Well, not mini, when we had the crash
Yeah,
a while
right.
ago. Full page about how much money he has and what he's building, his own house. Would you do that in a million years?
Tell
No.
people
In
what you-
today's world, would you
I
tell
already get
people?
enough tragic letters from
Yeah.
people. All I need is
Yeah.
4,000 for my sister's
Right.
operation, and I know
Right.
you'll come through
And
with
also threats.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. You once said that you bought somebody quoted you bought Polaroid at 2.
So bought Polaroid at 11, and sold it at 11:30, and then went to lunch. That was the main problem. You're listening to the Steve Allen Show on the NBC Radio Network.
Well, that's it for this hour of the Steve Allen Show.
Yes, another hour shot to heck. See, Bob, I say heck.
Well, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm not. I mean,
The
it's
hell
not
you
a
are.
big goodbye, but it's just a goodbye. Like if we were maybe if this is one of the last shows, I would say goodbye. But I'm just saying goodbye for today.
On some of our stations.
On some of the stations.
Bob Einstein can be seen on Showtime on the Super Dave Osborne Show. Thanks
Dan
to
Brenner can be seen officiating at UCLA as law professor.
thanks to our producers Dick Brennan and Debbie Farr. This is
How'd you like the shows, Herb?
So far, so good.
this is the Steve Allen Show on the
like the Super
NBC
Dave
Radio
Show.
Network.
Okay, we got a 3-minute break. Hi guys, how you doing out there? Ah. Let's say.
Is it possible that he can sit on a chair instead
Yeah, there are 4 bar stools in here. There's no bar, but we have the bar stools. Dan,
See you
thanks so
again.
much. Great,
Yeah.
great to talk to you.
Thanks.
You know, he has that Parkinson's syndrome.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. He says he likes to sit on a chair. Is that possible?
Oh, you mean a chair instead of a stool? Let's see. Is Christy or Debbie?
Debbie's there.
Do we actually have any chairs in this area, as distinguished from stools?
Chairs as well.
Yeah, regular chair.
There's one in the office there.
Oh yeah, no problem. How you doing, Commander? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, let's see what they can slide in there.
You got the book okay?
Yes, right.
You can hold your book up for the radio audience
Right.
to see it.
Hi, Eddie. How are you, sweetheart? Good to see you. Help yourselves to any of those microphones, and we'll see what the chair situation is here. Bob, I hope you'll be joining us too. Or you have to split? Oh, all right.
Oh, hi. Sure. Nice seeing you.
Hey, thanks for everything, as I said on paper. Thanks for the lovely flowers. Good. Thanks for the buggy ride. Thanks for whatever.
It'll be August or September. We'll talk when you get back.
Great. All right.
And put the date down.
Okay. I'll probably see you before then too. Thanks a million.
Here I am. I'm doing the Eddie Fisher show. Remember when he was married to Elizabeth Taylor? He always carried her bag. Oh, here's a chair, Jim.
Put it over there, Ralph, on that microphone.
You can adjust the microphone. Geez, I read that article in the New York Times. That was a sensational article.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Did you ever see the article they wrote about you in the New York Times? This show?
How long ago,
Oh,
roughly?
it must have been a couple months ago.
Believe it or not, I can't remember.
Jesus, it was a sensational article.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'll have to.
You haven't got a local station here yet.
No.
Yeah.
No. Haven't seen that. Maybe it'll float in, and I'm usually about 2 months behind looking at the clipping thing.
Geez, I don't think I have it at home anymore, but it was just gave went in great detail how you changed it for, kind of took over.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Let's see, Debbie or anybody? We can make the microphone the right level down there for someone seated in that chair.
Let's see, I don't know how low this will go. I think this is probably as far as there we go. That's as low as it's going to go.
You can work off that too.
That's okay. That should work all right.
Yeah, that's all right. You're on WPIX in New York, huh?
The radio show NEW, WNEW.
Oh, that's it. Is it best with the earphones on, Steve?
Yeah, you can't hear New York without it. We have in New York Mark Simone, my sidekick, and Herb Sargent of Saturday Night Live and my old shows.
Oh, they're talking in New York.
Yeah, so without them, without the phones, you wouldn't hear them.
Oh, my God.
Fun to see these old pictures, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many hours are you on, Steve?
It's 3 hours.
Oh, great. It's live, isn't it?
Yes. Some stations tape it and carry it later, but it's live.
Back to the old days. I remember when I first came to this town. I
Yeah.
used to stay up every night and listen to you on KNX.
Right. Why don't you feel free to jump into one of the microphones there?
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, we won't hear you.
God, you got a nice studio. This has always been your office, hasn't it, over here?
Yeah. The main offices are across the driveway. Were you over there? Or?
No, we just
Or
started
just-
to go in there, and then they brought us in here.
Oh.
I knew you had an office in Encino.
Yeah, as I say, the offices are across the way, but we use this for a little studio.
1 minute.
Okie dokie.
Do you need a level? Does she need a level on us?
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. Have you been listening, Debbie? Everything okay? Maybe you could put your mic a little closer to you. Yeah, good. Okay.
Debbie, you hear me?
Can you hear me, Debbie?
Good.
Can you hear me, Debbie?
Okay, everything's set in there.
Live from Hollywood and from New York, it's the Steve Allen Show. Coming up this hour, Mr. and Mrs. Jim Backus, Herb Sargent, Bob Einstein. This is Mark Simone, and now, here's Steve Allen.
Yes, from the corner of Rank and File, this is your Hollywood correspondent, Steve Correspondent, speaking to you. Remember Jimmy Fiddler? Wasn't he our Hollywood correspondent?
He's still alive, Steve.
Is he? Where does he live, Jim?
He's over at Lakeside playing gin and rummy every day.
Ah.
That's the same thing as being buried.
The voice you just heard answering that question was that of Jim Bacon, book writer, journalist of long standing, intimate to the stars.
Wow.
He's been intimate with every star I know.
The only guy at Shelley Winters ever said she had a headache.
Well, we have to stop for just a moment, but don't go away. In just a second, we'll get started with the Steve Allen Show on the NBC Radio Network.
Was that on the air?
Yeah, sure. Doesn't get any better than that. That's it.
Henny,
What?
tell Ralph to stand there.
How many stations do you have, Steve?
About 35, I think.
Good.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Anybody read the book, Steve?
Hmm?
Did anyone read the book yet? Our book.
You mean anyone on our staff?
Yeah.
You know, no, none of the others ever see it. I'm the only one who does.
I see.
I've given it a skim so far, but we'll be going through it.
I hope you like it.
Oh, I look forward to reading it. Oh boy.
This is live, I take it?
You mean that commercial or the?
No, the whole show.
Oh, the show is live. Yeah. Whatever you say, it will be registered in the
Good time back east.
by the recording angel.
Yeah, it's drive time.
Drive time.
And now, once again, here's Steve Allen.
Thank you very much, America, from the corner of born and bred. Well, we've already done all that nonsense. We'll think of some other nonsense. I have in hand a book. It is published by St. Martin's Press, which is one of the most effective holds that Ed Strangler Lewis ever used. If he ever got you in a St. Martin's Press, it was all over.
Extra half Nelson.
Yes, or an Ozzy, whatever it was. And it's titled, Forgive Us Our Digressions. It's an autobiography. It's the story of Jim Backus's auto, as a matter of fact. No, it's the story of his life with his lovely wife, Henny, and a fascinating life it has been, depending on the age of our millions of listeners, or 12, or whatever the number might be. They will know different things about Jim Backus. Many of our listeners, Jim, I suppose, would most quickly associate your name with the Mr. Magoo character.
Yes, I think so.
Others would associate your name with the I Married Joan,
Yes.
the TV series you did with Joan Davis. Still others, and perhaps all of the above, all lumped together, would think first of
Gilligan's Island.
Gilligan's Island, right? So I imagine we could talk to you at least an hour about Gilligan's Island alone, or Mr. Magoo alone,
Yeah,
that sort of thing. The first time I remember hearing you was in the late 40s. You guys had your own radio show for a time,
Yes, we used to try out our material on your radio show.
didn't you? That's right. Yeah.
As we wrote it, we'd come over and do it
Yeah.
for you.
That was great. But when was it when you did? Was it Hubert Updike the third?
Hubert Updike III
Yeah.
was first in NBC in New York with Alan Young.
Alan Young. That's the
Came
show.
down from Canada, and I played Hubert Updike. They had a guy to be opposite him
Yes.
to get the girl or not
The
get
richest
the girl.
man in the world.
Yes.
So, and the writers had a ball with that character. But
One of the jokes that you did became a classic, and that is still repeated about the had to get rid
You
of
want
the
to
cat.
do it, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Which one?
How to get rid of the car.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Take you riding my Cadillac station wagon, and we're listening to music of Guy Lombardo and his Royal Canadians.
Oh,
Yes.
have you a radio in your car?
No, we have Guy Lombardo in the car.
No, the one about remember the reason he had to dispose of the car, had to get rid of
Well,
it?
the ashtrays were full.
That's it. The ashtrays
Or
are
it's
full.
pointing the wrong way.
Yes.
The pearl
We used
joke
to
was
have-
my favorite. Do you remember that?
Which one was that?
Do
I'll
the
give you
pearl.
a pearl from my own private oyster bed, and each pearl be the size of a watermelon.
How can you get little pearls to give little oysters to give pearls the size of a watermelon?
We use whips.
Yes, I remember that. Good stuff. Gosh,
A
it's
lot of those jokes were turned into Texan jokes.
really. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. The
Yeah,
Texans
because
were
the Texans
so rich.
and then after a year, and it was we had a tough time with that character getting on the air because the censor said that it sounded like FDR.
Ridiculous. Some
Well,
dummy
yes, it
actually
is.
said that.
Yeah,
Censors.
It does a little bit, but yeah, right. Censors are not too hip generally. I sometimes think that to play devil's advocate defending the network censors, if they didn't do that, they would be out of work, literally. I mean, they have to
That's
find
right.
fault with the script.
Yes.
You could give them, a book from the Bible, and they'd have to go through it and say, well, I think maybe the
Begat.
verb, yes, could get us into trouble. That's what they do for a living. We are I'm fascinated. Everybody will be who reads this book. At the photographs, first of all, there are the obligatory baby photographs, which are obviously
me-
adorable.
Wasn't he
Me
adorable,
feeling
though?
a fish,
Yeah.
feeling a haddock in that.
Yeah. And then a shot of you and Richard Burton on the set of the film Ice Palace.
Yes, with
How
two
many-
lovely newbie ladies from Japan, I believe.
Yes, very pretty indeed.
They are.
Well, at that age, we were all pretty, I guess. You guys
Pointing
certainly
the
are.
wrong way.
How many films have you made, roughly, in all?
306.
Really?
Yep. That's some kind of a record, and either starring or co-starring.
That's
Or
amazing.
special guest.
Yeah, that must be a record. I mean, you generally.
I think it is. I think it is.
Generally,
I
when
got that record. Then I have another record. 13,000 commercials for the same product.
That would be a record too.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
but that's in the Guinness Book of Records.
Generally, when you say to some even very well-known actor, "How many films have you done?" They say, "Oh, 43, or maybe sometimes 61." But 300 and some is incredible.
Well, was a workaholic in those days. You know?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it was wonderful. All of them. I had fun and all.
Which was your favorite, Jimmy?
I'd have to say Rebel Without a Cause.
Yeah, that was a great picture. There, for those who are only 12 years old now, or 22 or whatever, that was one of James Dean's All Too Few films.
Yeah. It's a cult picture.
Yes, yeah, everything he ever did.
They're all renting it now. It's on cassette.
Is it on cassette?
Oh, yes.
Ah,
Oh, yes.
That's great. And you played the father of Sal Mineo, was it?
No, Jimmy Dean.
Jimmy Dean.
Oh, Jimmy. What am I thinking of?
We had that scene where he threw me down the stairs.
Yes.
Whenever famous scenes or typical scenes are written about, that's usually in it, along with Son of a Bitch Stole My Watch, you know.
Yeah. I talked once to Rock Hudson. I just happened to be seated near him on a plane just after I had seen Giant, another one of the Dean films, of course, the Texas story. And I had, quote, discovered, I don't mean the word seriously, I had seen Dean some years before he became the famous actor Jimmy Dean on a dramatic show in New York. It was a story that in itself became a cliche. I think there were about 3.5 TV movies and a couple of regular movies and a book and a recipe or something, all with the same plot. A typical home in a nice civilized neighborhood. Suddenly there's an invasion of barbarians, escaped convicts or a couple of drunk teenagers. No, I'm not joking. I'm being very serious. Suddenly there's an invasion. Some terrible criminals, dangerous people, burst into this peaceful home and terrorize the people who live there. And this was the plot of one of the stories I saw on television. It was on the old Danger series or something like that. And I remember saying to Jane, I must find out who is the director of this because he's done something absolutely brilliant. No actor could be as convincing as a hopped-up kind of a jazz-talking teenager as whoever this kid is that's doing it. He must be really that, and the director somehow met him and taught him a little bit about acting. Stupidest thing I ever said, of course.
You're not far from
That was Jimmy Dean.
Yeah, that was Jimmy Dean. A couple of years later, he broke big, and I thought, well, no wonder he was so great.
Why not?
Yeah.
Jimmy's book gives an insight into Dean, and I used to know Jimmy Dean, and his book, Henny's book, gives an insight into Dean that I never knew before. It's too bad Jack L. Warner's not alive to read it. He changed his opinion.
Yeah. I remember now what I started to say about Rock Hudson. I said to him, the obvious question, what was it like? You'd already made a lot of movies. You've worked with half the people in the business. What was it like to work with Dean? He said, it's a very good question. He said, because I have never before worked with any other actor, man or woman, who gave me such concentration as he did. Generally, as everybody, I guess, knows, if you're in a play, you get the benefit of weeks and weeks of rehearsal and perhaps years of running, and so every night it can be as good as it can get. But in film, sometimes you'll do a scene having not rehearsed with the other actors at all. When you have time, you were doing another scene last Tuesday. You didn't have time.
Sometimes you never meet them.
That's very true.
But Dean and I, that took a week, the filming of that staircase, and I had to be thrown down the stairs, and I did it without a double, and he took me down and then threw me into a chair, and the chair went over, and he ran out the door. We did it 17 times in one day.
Wow.
Closed set, and the concentration was amazing. And I had to trust this guy because if you're working with someone like that, one's got to lead, like dancing. If we both tighten up, it's disastrous. So I had to actually go limp and throw myself at this kid's mercy. And he grabbed me and took by the lapels of the robe I had on and literally threw me, but he actually guided me and went over the chair with me.
And he wasn't nearly as big as Jim either.
Yeah.
It was so done so well, and he wouldn't allow anyone to say action or speed, any of those cliches.
How did he know that the ball game had started?
He would whistle. You go into concentration, a little whistle.
Oh, I see.
And that would be it.
Fascinating.
And of course, the old hardline crew, with the owning the condominiums.
We have to pause for just a moment, but we'll come back in a second with more of the Steve Allen Show on the NBC Radio Network.
That's a funny line, owning their condominiums.
They're so rich. Every Steve, you notice that on the picture, the crew is so loaded.
Yeah.
They've got
The crew is loaded on a picture.
with,
you
with
mean
money.
they do so well?
Money.
Yeah.
They got golden time and everything. You
Right,
know.
yeah.
You got to tell a couple Burton stories, Jim.
Yeah, maybe good.
Tell a couple
Yeah,
Burton
yeah.
stories.
All right.
Do you want to mention the fact that I haven't been well, or is that no?
Whatever you want, sure.
The other book was all about it, actually.
Another book?
Well, we had one 2 years ago called Forgive Us Our Digressions. I'll tell them about it if you want.
Oh. What was the title of the other one you say?
Bacchus Strikes Back.
Oh, I see. Okay. You're listening to The Steve Allen Show on the NBC Radio Network. We hope you'll join us every day at this time.
You're listening to the Steve Allen Show. Jim and Henny Bacchus are our guests, and once again, here's Steve Allen.
And we're talking about the Bacchus's book, Forgive Us Our Digressions, autobiographical reminiscences, and accompanied by a lot of marvelous photographs. I thought of holding them up to the mic, but I guess that wouldn't quite work. Fascinating stuff. You were telling us a moment ago, Henny, about an earlier book that Jim had done.
Yes, this is our fifth book,
Mm-hmm.
and the last book was called Bacchus Strikes Back. This is a sequel to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other book was, I hope, a very funny book about a very serious illness and a misdiagnosis.
Ah,
And it continues in this book.
I see.
Jimmy is much better.
Yes, I can see that.
Isn't that wonderful?
That's
I
terrific.
was carried in.
Oh, you kill me.
That's funny.
Well, you know, I've been under house arrest for about 5 years.
Mm-hmm. That long.
I've been to the valley.
Make that plural, will you, Jim?
It's the first time you've been to the valley. Right?
Yeah, well, I haven't been anywhere past La Brea.
Ah, you haven't missed much.
No, I know. I went through Hollywood and saw those young ladies on the street. I thought the school was out. And cigarettes were 25 cents or $1.75 now.
Yeah.
I think.
You know, it's
And
interesting.
booze is out of the question, and I'm not allowed to drink it anyhow.
Ah, well, you're not missing much there either, actually.
But what was a quarter scotch, fifth scotch?
I don't know.
It used to be about $6.
I signed.
Right.
I never knew.
Now it's $28.
In fact, what with inflation and the general pace of change in today's world, you can be away for the summer and you're
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah.
One thing that constantly surprises me, and Jim, you'll be very sensitive to this because you're constantly writing about who's who in the business and what they're doing. Well, I'll tell it in the form of a story. Not a funny story, just a story. Jane and I were in Europe one summer, and the first thing we had to do when we got back is be the grand marshals or whatever in some parade for charity. And as everyone knows, in those cars, they have various celebrities. Well, we hurried to the point where the parade was forming in some little side street, and we jumped in the back of our open convertible and sat up, as you do, so you can be seen while you're waving. And then after we got comfortable, we looked around to see which of our many friends might be in the other cars. Now, they were all celebrities, and we suddenly realized we had never heard of any of them. Apparently, they'd all become big while we were in Europe
sure,
that summer.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they were on
Listen,
soap operas or whatever.
Steve, Jimmy and I were on Frank Sinatra's first radio show. Had no idea who he was.
What
And he
year
was
would
a big
that be?
star. About 1942 or 3 or 4,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Well, there has to come a time when you meet anybody. You know, we're not born knowing everybody else. That's wild. Want to talk about Joan Davis for a minute? How long did that show run?
I
Married
think
Joan.
3 years.
3 years.
It could have gone another 10.
Yes.
And it's funny, they never mention it when they bring up, famous shows of that period.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they never showed clips because her house burned down. Her office was there.
Oh,
And,
no. And they were
both
destroyed?
Houses, both houses burned down. The one here and the one in Palm Springs.
What
And
a-
Joan was so shy that I had to do all the interviews.
Really?
Yeah,
You wouldn't think that
painfully
because
shy.
she was very,
very
extra,
shy.
No.
very extroverted in her
Yeah.
work. Yeah, very physical
I
and
think
knockabout.
Joan never realized how good she really was.
That's
And
fascinating.
her whole life was based on being rather jealous of Lucy.
Hmm.
When Lucy got pregnant, Joan went crazy.
Really?
She started looking at me.
Do something.
Yeah, let's get the Nielsen. I said, no way.
She was a
Let's
star.
get one of the
That's
writers.
Right.
Yeah. She was, for those very young people who don't know who we're talking about, Joan Davis was a very funny woman, a professional comedian, of course, who had done great performances in a lot of movie comedies.
Yeah.
It's
So-
on cable right now.
She was a
And you can rent
vaudeville.
it.
Oh, the shows are on cable.
Yes, they
Yeah.
even rented.
Oh, great. When you said the fire, I thought you meant there was not much.
Oh, they have a few.
Terrific.
They don't have all the shows at all.
Yeah. Who were the writers for that? Do you remember? You've worked
Sherwin
on-
Schwartz.
Sherwin Schwartz.
Later went on to Gilligan's Island fame.
Ah, yes.
And he
Robin
wrote the
Hood's
Alan Young
Rabbi.
show. I've worked for Sherwin Schwartz for 3 generations.
Mm-hmm.
I said we called him Robin Hood's rabbi.
Sherwin Schwartz, right.
Let's see who else. I think Neil Simon did this.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, he did, Jimmy.
On
And
the I
we
Mary
got
Joan?
the gag files, and we got jokes from Abe Burrows.
Leon Uris, didn't he?
Leon Uris, he used to work for Fred Allen.
He was a writer on I Mary Joan?
Yes.
I think at one time
And
they
there was another one.
all went through. They passed by. 'Cause
You
Joan-
mean they work for a few weeks at a time?
Yeah, yeah.
I
Or
see.
they have a script they want to get rid of. And
Did she care much about the scripts, or did she just take
she
what-
was great. She
Whatever
never
they
read,
gave her?
Never read anything for like Time magazine or
Mm-hmm.
book or anything. But she had a script judgment that was sensational.
Mm-hmm.
She knew the tagline. She could tell these guys who were
Yeah.
pretty erudite guys.
Yeah, she had a great naturalness
Great
to her
knowledge.
funniness.
I don't. That won't pay off. And
She
she was
also was a
invariably
human
right. What, Tom?
I said she was a human joke file, too.
We used to
She knew every joke
we used to
in the
do
world.
taglines.
Mm-hmm. Had she come out of Broadway funniness?
No,
No.
vaudeville.
Oh, vaudeville.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Then in the picture, she arrived out here during the war with some cash,
Uh-huh.
and she and her during the Depression,
That's right.
and she and her husband then, Cy Wills, it was Wills and Davis,
Hmm. Oh, they didn't
and,
act
and they
together.
had,
in
as all vaudevillians, had the cash.
Hmm.
In
They
the
walked
watch
up and they
bag.
walked up Beverly Drive, back of the Beverly Hills Hotel.
Mhm.
Bought what would now be a $3 million house for $15, $1,500.
1,000, Jimmy, 1,000.
50,000.
We have to take a quick break,
All right.
Isn't that amazing?
and then we'll come back and then talk
We'll be
some
right
more
back.
with Jim Backus and his wife Henny, and more of the Steve Allen Show on the NBC Radio Network.
How can we keep them overlapping that way?
You're doing okay.
Does that sound all right?
That's the charm of the show.
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Doesn't
yeah.
matter. As long as
Yeah.
two people aren't talking at once, then it doesn't
Well,
matter.
No.
we were, though.
No, not really.
That's a great idea. No.
Came across good.
Steve,
Mm-hmm.
when we come back.
Jimmy,
ask
you're
her
on a
if
roll.
She had any children.
You're on a
Ask
roll.
if Joan had any children?
Yeah.
Got some-
All right.
You're going good. You know, he's on a roll.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say another word.
Yeah,
except
let
one
him
thing.
talk. Let
No,
him
jump
talk.
in whenever you want.
Payne
Oh, come on.
and
Knock
Weber.
it off.
Payne Weber.
Oh, this guy's scared
I'm
of
in
me.
pain. Payne Weber. Afraid he'll